Before a woman speaks a single word, she has already revealed everything. Her body has spoken, her energy has vibrated, and her presence has confessed what her mind has not yet dared to admit. The mistake most men make is not in what they hear, it is in what they fail to see. Because while they search for obvious signs, the real messages have already been delivered through posture, through breathing, through the eyes. Body language is not a tool of seduction. It is her truest voice. Picture yourself walking into a room. You say nothing. She says nothing. Yet you already know if there is tension, curiosity, or desire. How? Through her body. Through the slight turn toward you, the unnecessary adjustment of her hair, the precise length of a gaze that refuses to break. Most men never notice this. They get distracted by words, by makeup, by the surface. But the truth hides in the subtle. In that instant when she goes quiet and observes, in that moment when her breathing shifts, it is not accidental, it is ancestral. Because a woman does not communicate through logic, she communicates through presence. Carl Jung said the body is the visible shadow of the soul. And in the feminine case, that shadow screams even when her mouth stays closed. Every crossing of her legs, every tilt of her head, every silent gesture is a disguised confession. And if you know how to look, you see everything. But seeing is not enough. You must be present fully, intensely present. Because feminine body language is not interpreted with the eyes. It is felt with instinct, detected through silence. You are not reading movements. You're reading intentions. And that is where the real game begins. Since ancient times, women have learned to hide their desire behind symbols. She does not say it, she hints at it. She does not state it, she suggests it. And she does this because what is valuable is never offered. It is tested, so if you are waiting for her to tell you, you have already lost because she already showed you, and if you failed to see it, you are not ready to play. Seduction begins before eye contact, before the smile. It begins in the way she chooses to present herself to the world when you are near, in the energy her body emits the moment you walk past her. Because even the stillest feminine body communicates, even silent screams. Have you noticed the moment she shifts her weight from one leg to the other, or how she holds her glass with both hands while listening to you? These gestures are not random. They are ancestral micro-expressions encoded through thousands of years of evolution to protect and to attract. A woman can fake many things. A laugh, a phrase, a smile, but she cannot fake what her body feels because the body does not lie. And when you learn to read it, you uncover a brutal truth. Most men are blind. They see the form, but not the depth. They react to the obvious and ignore the invisible. They focus on what she says and not on how she says it. But the key is there in what she does not verbalize. In the tension gathered in her shoulders, in the direction of her feet, in the rhythm of her blinking. A woman's body is transmitting a message at all times, not only about you, but about herself, about her self-esteem, her confidence, her desire. Did you know that the way a woman adjusts her hair reveals whether she feels confident or nervous, or that exposing her neck repeatedly is a sign of voluntary vulnerability? This is where the game becomes subtly complex. Sometimes a woman is not trying to seduce. She's measuring. She's measuring your reaction, your stability, your presence. Not every gesture is an invitation. Some are tests. Are you reading correctly, or are you projecting your own desires onto her signals? Body language is a letter without an envelope, a book without a cover. If you know how to read it, you enter a dimension most people never reach. And that does not make you manipulative. It makes you aware because you are not forcing anything. You are noticing what is already there. You're observing what she unintentionally wants you to see. But be careful. Seeing is not acting. Seeing is not invading. Seeing is simply recognizing. Recognizing that behind an open posture there is an open mind. Recognizing that a long gaze is not always desire, but it is always intention. Because every prolonged look carries a question. And if you do not know how to answer without speaking, you will never understand the real game. Men who master the reading of feminine body language do not seek approval. They do not need a smile as a reward. They read and decide, interpret and calibrate because they understand that every gesture is a test, not a promise. Every approach, a bridge, not permission, and in that balance between seeing and acting, true power is built. This is the first lesson. If you want to understand feminine desire, do not wait for words. Learn to read bodies. Learn to see when no one else sees, because the most powerful secrets are never shouted. They are whispered, and the body whispers constantly. Feminine body language is not a performance. It is not a stage decorated with calculated gestures. It is something deeper, more primitive, more brutally authentic biology in motion, ancestral programming that moves without the consent of the conscious mind. When a woman slowly crosses her legs, touches her neck, or bites her lower lip, she is not acting. She is obeying millions of years of evolution. Everything she does, even without knowing, has roots buried in natural selection. The feminine body was designed to communicate without words, to evaluate and to protect itself. And in that process, it sends signals, sometimes contradictory, sometimes crystal clear, that only the attentive can decode. This is not about interpreting a choreography. It is about sensing the intention hidden beneath each gesture. Most men believe understanding a woman is about perfect phrases and rehearsed lines. What they forget is that before you speak, she has already read you. She has scanned your posture, your energy, your emotional control, and has issued a response you may never notice. Evolutionary psychologists like David Buss have shown that many feminine behaviors have adaptive origins. They developed in high-risk environments where a woman had to attract without exposing herself, evaluate without declaring herself, and seduce without speaking. Her body language became a radar, a way to scan, select, and reject candidates. That is why most feminine signals hold a double function: attract and protect. A low neckline does not always communicate availability. Sometimes it is a shield meant to deter the weak. A smile can invite, or it can maintain control. And in that subtle dance between attraction and defense, the man who does not understand is eliminated. The feminine instinct does not seek logic. It seeks coherence. She may hear what you say, but she reacts to how you say it. You may try to impress her with a story, but if your shoulders slump or your voice trembles, her body detects the incoherence, and in that instant, attraction dissolves. To her, you are a vibration, an energy, a field of information her unconscious evaluates in milliseconds. Are you centered? Are you in control? Is your energy heavy, scattered, or stable? She perceives all of this before you finish your first sentence. And, if something does not match, her body responds with distance, even if her mouth says the opposite. This is where Machiavelli enters the picture. Machiavelli did not write about women, but he wrote about perception, power, and strategy. And Seduction is exactly that. A silent battle of perceptions, an emotional negotiation where the one who understands the invisible signals holds the power. Machiavelli taught that power is not declared, it is projected. The one who dominates the environment does not need to speak. His presence says everything. In the game of attraction, this becomes simple. A woman does not react to the one who tries. She reacts to the one who is. She does not follow the man who seeks validation. She follows the one whose calm dissolves her defenses. And that calm, that emotional self-control under feminine stimulus, is the modern version of the prince who refuses to react to provocation. The most common mistake men make is assuming that more action means more attraction. But in feminine body language, often less is more. She does not respond to the man who pushes. She responds to the man who contains. She does not react to the one who moves, but to the one who is in control. And that is not accidental. It is emotional survival. Feminine desire is not born in noise, but in rhythm, in the security you project when you do not rush the moment, in the pause you take before responding, in the space you give her so she can feel without feeling pressured. When a woman adjusts her hair, leans in slightly, crosses her ankles, or lowers her voice, she is saying something, not with words, but with instinct. And if you respond from your logical mind, you are playing the wrong game. But if you respond from your center, from your breath, from your energy, something in her activates, because you are not speaking to her reason. You are speaking to her limbic system, where emotion, danger, and desire live. That is where true magnetism is generated, and if you know how to move in that dimension without words, you enter a realm most men will never discover. That is the real game. She is not waiting for you to convince her. She's waiting for you to affect her, for your presence alone to shift her energy without you saying anything, for your silence to be not empty but dense, for your calm to be not passivity but dominance, and that cannot be faked. This is why the training is not external. It is not about memorizing lines or copying gestures. It is internal. It is working on your breath, your posture, your gaze, your intention, because if your body is not aligned with your message, she will feel it. Her instinct detects everything, and when that happens, she disconnects. Seduction is not an act. It is a state. It is not about behaving differently. It is about being different, about returning to the body, reconnecting with your physical presence. Because while everyone else competes for attention, the truly magnetic man does not compete. He attracts, not because he manipulates, but because he radiates coherence. And that coherence is what the feminine instinct respects most. More than your physique, more than your clothes, more than your words. What truly impacts her is your invisible control, that unspoken language that does not ask, but asserts, that silent energy that screams without making a sound. And when that happens, she responds not with logic, but with her body. The greatest mistake of the modern man is not that he does not know how to speak. It is that he does not know how to stay silent. He talks too much, explains too much, reacts to every gesture, every look, every smile, as if they were confirmations. But a woman's body doesn't validate. It examines. It doesn't approve. It evaluates. And if you do not understand this, you become a reactive man. And a reactive man is a man without power. When she smiles, he overreacts with enthusiasm. When she touches his arm, he becomes hopeful. And when she pulls away, he becomes frustrated. He lives according to what she does instead of remaining in his center. That is the trap. She is not validating you. She is testing you. Because the real test is not whether you react well. It is whether you can choose not to react. A woman can look interested and not be. She can look distant and still want you, because the feminine body does not always act from desire. It often acts from strategy. And feminine strategy is to observe, measure, destabilize whoever is not centered. It is a dance of stimuli where what matters is not the step you take, but the direction you maintain. Do you want to know why you lose polarity? Because every time she sends an ambiguous signal, you lose control. You stop breathing. You lean in too much. You start talking non-stop. You try to win her over. And the moment you do that, you have already lost because you have become someone who seeks approval. And feminine desire does not activate through need. It activates through magnetism. Masculine magnetism is born from the center. From that part of you that does not move, even when everything around you does, that does not try to convince, that holds its presence even when challenged. She does not need you to tell her you want her. She already knows. She feels it. But she's waiting to see if you can contain desire without losing your center. That is the fatal mistake. Believing she's choosing you when in reality she's measuring you. Because every woman has two clocks, one logical and one emotional. The first listens to your words, the second watches your gestures. And if there is incoherence between what you say and what you project, the second one always wins. She does not desire what she understands, she desires what makes her feel. And if you react with too much emotion, if you try to please, if you give up your frame, you reveal that you cannot even contain your own desire. So, how will you contain hers? Instead of projecting certainty, you project doubt. Instead of holding tension, you release it, and the feminine does not respond to relief. It responds to controlled intensity, to calm in the middle of pressure, to emotional neutrality when she throws a provocation. That is what attracts her, not enthusiasm, not compliments, not urgency. What attracts her is seeing that she can make you feel without making you fall, that she can test you without breaking you. Because that is where she feels safe. Not when you desire her, but when you can desire her without chasing her. This is why every smile is not a gift, it is a question. Every touch is not a reward, it is an exam. Every silence is not rejection, it is a test of your ability to hold discomfort without losing your energy. And if you pass that test, desire is not created, it awakens. Many men fail, not because they lack charm, but because they carry too much need. They talk fast, laugh nervously, try to be liked. And she notices because her body mirrors yours. If you are tense, she closes. If you are anxious, she cools because her nervous system is always searching for an emotional reference stronger and more stable than herself. And if you are not that reference, she disconnects. Masculine power is not about controlling the woman. It is about not losing control in front of her. It is holding your frame even when she challenges it. It is speaking little, looking firmly, breathing deeply, and justifying nothing. Because the man who does not need to explain himself becomes a mystery. And mystery is irresistible. Remember this, every emotional reaction you have is a confession of insecurity, of unmanaged desire, of hidden validation seeking. And feminine desire does not open for confessions. It opens for control, for firmness, for presence that does not crumble under stimulus. Attractive men do not do more. They do less, but with intention. They speak little, observe more, wait, because they know silence carries more power than 1,000 words, that a pause creates more tension than any speech, and that in restraint lies the key to everything. And understand this clearly. This is not about repressing emotions, but mastering them, allowing them to exist without letting them lead you. Because when a woman tests you, it is not to destroy you. It is to know whether she can trust you emotionally. She is measuring whether you can lead emotionally. And that is why she sends destabilizing signals, not for you to react, but for you to prove control. So next time she looks at you, do not react. Breathe. Next time she smiles, do not get excited. Observe. Next time she touches your arm, do not assume. Hold steady, because every feminine gesture is not an attempt to please you. It is a check to see if you can lead the dance without losing yourself in the rhythm. That is the secret. She wants to feel that you can contain her energy without needing it, that you can desire her without chasing her, that you can hold her gaze without breaking the silence, because real desire does not live in what is expressed. It lives in what is contained in the man who does not surrender to the stimulus but turns it into magnetic tension. Machiavelli understood that power is a matter of perception. It was never about possessing strength, but appearing to have it. In the game of seduction, this idea becomes a weapon because feminine desire does not respond to the man who forces, it responds to the man who projects, the man who, without saying anything, without asking, without proving already, is the greatest power, is the invisible one. The one that never announces itself, the one that never shouts. It is the control of the atmosphere, the way you enter a room and the environment shifts, the kind of presence that does not seek but attracts. And that is not built through forced effort, it is cultivated through self-mastery. A man who dominates the atmosphere does not need to touch for her to feel him, does not need to speak for her to hear him. His way of walking, breathing, observing shifts the emotional dynamic, because everything in him communicates one thing: security. Machiavelli would say that this man understands human nature, that he knows people are guided by impulses, emotions, and reflexes, and that whoever controls those impulses without repressing them rules the game without ever raising his voice in the realm of attraction. That means you do not chase feminine energy. You allow it, you observe it, you feel it, and when it appears, you do not rush it. You contain it. Because real power is not in obtaining it, but in holding it. A woman can feel whether a man is centered or acting. She can sense the difference between presence and strategy, between authenticity and technique. And when she detects the first, her body responds, not her mind, her body. Mastering the atmosphere is learning to manage the emotional rhythm of the encounter, knowing when to speak and when to stay silent, when to approach and when to retreat, when to hold a gaze and when to let her come closer. It is a subtle equilibrium between firmness and space, between energy and emptiness. This kind of control is never aggressive, never theatrical. It is silent, magnetic. It is the ability to charge a space with your energy without needing to move to make her feel observed, without feeling invaded, to create a tension that neither overwhelms nor fades. The secret lies in the tempo, in setting the rhythm. Because whoever sets the rhythm leads, and in seduction, leading is not imposing, it is guiding with energy. It is being so aware of your body, your tone, your silences, that everything you do becomes a message. Most men want to move fast, want to close, want certainty. But the feminine does not operate like that. The feminine needs space to bloom. And when the atmosphere is dense but contained, when tension exists without anxiety, she relaxes. And when she relaxes, she surrenders. Machiavelli spoke about ruling the timing, not rushing, knowing how to wait for the right moment, applying force only when the result is assured. Applied to seduction. That means knowing how to hold the mystery, not revealing everything, not destroying the ambiguity, because what feeds feminine desire most is controlled ambiguity. The I do not know what happens to me with him. The I cannot fully read him. That uncertainty activates the emotional mind and keeps it engaged. Real power does not come from controlling others. It comes from mastering yourself in the presence of others. And when you stand before a woman you desire, your ability to remain unmoved by her beauty, her stimulus, her closeness, that is what separates the average man from the unforgettable man. Invisible control is the ability to speak with your body more than with your voice, to communicate security without arrogance, to emit desire without need. And when you do that, she feels it. She does not understand why. She simply knows that something in you pulls her in. And that is power. Just as Machiavelli's prince learned to use perception to his advantage, you must learn to use your energy as a silent declaration. Because in the end, it does not matter what you say. It matters how you make her feel. And if your atmosphere transmits dominance, calm, and clarity, her body will respond long before her mind does. This is not manipulation. It is intention. When your presence is firm yet relaxed, when your body does not seek but observes, when your energy is dense yet contained, you create an emotional field she senses without understanding. And that is the ground where real attraction is born. And if you can hold that field without breaking it, without rushing it, without trying to control the outcome, then you become the kind of man who marks a before and after, because the average man impresses, the magnetic man transforms the atmosphere. Even in silence, even without touch, even without declared intention. A woman feels she is facing a different kind of man, not because he does something special, but because his very energy communicates, I am here, I am in control, I need nothing but feel everything. And that kind of contained, ambiguous, steady presence makes a woman not only interested but surrendered, because her nervous system reads that atmosphere as stability, as power, as desire, without pressure. This is how you dominate a space without speaking. This is how you turn a room into your stage. And this is how, without words, you awaken her deepest instinct. Because, as Machiavelli taught, the true leader does not need to convince. He only needs to exist with such intensity that everything around him adapts. There is a difference between seeing signals and deciphering intentions. Most men interpret gestures. Magnetic men read truths because they understand feminine body language is not a secret code, but a silent confession. And the body does not only communicate what a woman feels for you, it communicates what she feels about herself. When a woman fixes her hair, it is not always flirtation. It can be anxiety, it can be desire, it can be the need to regain control. When she looks at you and then looks away, it is not rejection. It is vulnerability, tension, the dance between what she wants and what she fears. And the man who does not understand responds with logic. The man who understands responds with presence. The reading that changes everything is not identifying gestures. It is detecting atmospheres. It is seeing what lies behind the movement. It is noticing how her breathing adjusts to yours, how her voice softens, how she leans toward you by a millimeter.